Hey guys, welcome back to another Hardware Canucks review. The most anticipated 2012 chassis is finally here. Starting the year with Cooler Master's new addition to the Cosmos series, here's the Cosmos 2 Ultra Tower. The aesthetic design still maintains the Cosmos style with some slight refinements to keep up with the current market demands, but it still feels and looks like a Cosmos case with its smooth curves and an elegant appeal. Just like the rest of the Cosmos series, this Cosmos 2 is made for gamers and enthusiasts who want to utilize most of the available features and functions to build a high-end extreme machine. The Cosmos 2 is being released at a whopping price of $350 and should be available in early January. With Cooler Master's excellent reputation within the enclosure market, let's find out if the Cosmos 2 deserves the attention it has been receiving. The primary construction is a mix between aluminum, mesh and plastic for the exterior and a steel frame for the body. And as you can tell, the case is gigantic and weighs a hefty 47 pounds. However, it's very simple to transport with aluminum rail handles at the top attached directly to the steel frame and are able to withstand the weight of a fully loaded system. The case is also elevated by similar aluminum rails at the bottom to keep the style uniform. Now, starting with the front panel, the integrated fan controller and the power buttons are purposely hidden behind the slide cover. This is where we have the power and reset buttons with the hard drive activity lights and a fan controller for dedicated fans around the system. Now, the button layout and design resemble a cell phone pad or a high-end remote and looks quite unique for the front panel of a case with this metallic finish. It supports up to 9 fans with all the cables labeled to aid during assembly. However, we would have liked to see these cables in black with small colored tabs to distinguish from one another just to keep things uniform. And we also have the LED cables that allow you to control the lighting from the front panel. However, not all fans have the LED connector, leaving unnecessary cables at the back to deal with. The LED on each of the buttons indicates the speed of the fans, blue for slow, purple for medium, and red for high speed. Right below that is our audio eSATA port, 2 USB 3 and 4 USB 2 ports. The USB 3 ports connect through an internal 20-pin cable, and unfortunately Cooler Master does not provide the USB 2 to USB 3 adapter, leaving the ports unused in case you do not own a compatible motherboard. Now, we've seen a lot of case manufacturers leaving this adapter out of the accessories, and we believe it should become a standard to include the adapter if the case is USB 3 ready. Moving on, the aluminum front cover is held on by magnets and slides down to open, sort of a cool feature to create this robotic look. This is where we have 3 5¼ removable bays, allowing excellent addition of 2 hot swap bays with a locking mechanism and a removable dust filter for the front intake fans. Next up, the side panels on the Cosmos are covered in brushed aluminum and have plenty of venting on either side. Now, the side panels don't slide off as usual and require no fiddling around with screws, but instead they open up to 90 degrees and the side panels can be completely taken off just by lifting them off. This is something that works really well in practice if you want to do a quick modifications for the inside without taking off the side panel, but need extra room for the door to open, and if the chassis is placed on the desk or in small confined space, it is not very ideal and may get frustrating. At the back of the case, we have water cooling holes, exhaust fan, I/O area, 10 PCI expansion slots, plus an extra vertical one for any additional accessories, and a bottom mounted power supply with the PSU bracket, with a removable dust filter right underneath. The top panel has a built-in dust filter, and this is where the chassis would be appealing to water cooling enthusiasts. The Cosmos 2 has native triple radiator support with enough room for push and pull configuration, something expected with a case this size. Alright, enough with the exterior, let's check out the core of the Cosmos. First, the optical drive bays use toolless mounting mechanism, below which 2 hot swap bays are mounted. Next up is the hard drive cage, which has support for 5 drives with support for 2.5 drives as well. Below that, dual 120mm fan bracket is installed to cool the second hard drive cage for support of additional 6 drives. The power supply platform is raised and has rubberized surface to reduce vibration. The PSU bracket is removable with 4 thumb screws, which aren't exactly easy to get to, and is attached onto your power supply and back into the case. Okay, and finally, a fairly large CPU cutout with plenty of Cooler Master's rubber grommets for an easy and organized cable management, which is needed to sort out all these front panel connectors. Now, being such a large case, the airflow in the Cosmos 2 is well thought out for any enthusiast setup. And included 200mm front intake fan to cool the top chamber, mounting for an optional 120mm fan onto the hard drive cage for extra cooling potential, with an included 140mm exhaust fan for the back, and either a triple 120mm fan setup for the top, or dual 140mm, or a single 200mm fan is supported. And the bottom chamber is really well ventilated, with included dual fans for the bracket, and if needed, another 120mm fans can be installed as front intake for the bottom chamber. Now, the fans on the bracket are held on by clips to reduce the hassle of working with screws. However, the clips allow the fan to wobble a little bit and may cause unwanted noise if high-speed fans are installed. Looking in the back of the chassis, with plenty of room for wiring, with cable tie mounting spread out in just the right places. Alright, let's see some of the modular options for the Cosmos. First, the top hard drive cage can be removed, either to have less resistance for the airflow or installation of water cooling components. Next up is the bottom chamber, which can house a dual radiator. First, we need to remove the fan bracket, and after several screws, remove the bottom cage completely. As part of the accessories, radiator brackets are included, which are needed for mounting the rad onto the bottom chamber. It is mounted vertically with plenty of room for a push and pull configuration, and tubing can be passed through the rubber grommets into the top chamber. Now, speaking of accessories, an 8-pin cable extension along with some cable management zip ties and clips are included, with 2 pairs of keys for the hot swap base. Alright, we are almost ready for assembly, but one more thing to mention. More cooling can be added through the side panel. This isn't a toolless approach, requires to remove screws and mount a dual 120mm fans onto the part of the side panel. These sit directly at the bottom of your motherboard and are meant to cool your graphics cards. Now, as expected, assembling a system into such a large case is no problem. We really like the toolless hard drive base and the optical drives. Support for long video cards is no sweat either. With the top hard drive cage in place, 15.5 inches is available, which is more than enough to house the longest video card on the market at the time of this review. Also, the cable management, making sure you can get your system up and running fast, and most importantly, clutter-free is the case here. Absolutely a breeze and can be completed in no time. The Cosmos chassis have always stood out with its elegant appeal and enthusiast craving possibilities. As the enclosure market gets more and more competitive, those who have the edge in design and really understand what makes a practical yet unique case will attract consumers' interests. With that said, Cooler Master seems to be heading into the right direction with the Cosmos 2. Alright, let's wrap this up. The Cosmos 2 has class, and we love the stylish and elegant design of the chassis that speaks quality with the steel frame and aluminum accents on the exterior, with modular possibilities to suit many needs for both air and water cooling. Especially the native triple rad support at the top is absolutely a must. And then lastly, the cable management with rubber grommets and separate chambers for hardware division is well thought out, and any user will appreciate it. However, a couple of useful functions backfire, like the opening in the side panel. While useful for quick checkups, they require to be at least at 45 degrees before they can be lifted off, and may require more work than intended. And we also found the PSU bracket thumb screws placement a little awkward and hard to get to. But for the overall package, Cooler Master's new Cosmos 2 is a damn good case. And that wraps up our review of the Cosmos 2. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next one.